All right, we are back. Welcome to another live stream. Kelly's here, Captain Maddie is here. I'm guessing Darren's here on the Auditorium PC. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are back in X-Plane, and a couple of streams ago, someone actually asked me if I could do a flight in the ZIBO 737, and I said I'd actually make a video with a full flight on how to do everything in the ZIBO from start to finish, but I haven't flown this plane for a few months. So I need to practice to make sure I don't forget anything, because obviously with these complex aircraft, it's very easy to forget small things. So we're going to do some practice in the ZIBO, and we're going to go down from Johannesburg to Cape Town and try and see if we can get everything done properly. Nico is here. Thank you so much for tuning in. What a legend. Let's jump into the cockpit. Nice early morning flight. It is 3:30 Zulu time, so 5:30 local time in the morning. So I think we're actually the first flight of the day for British Airways, so Comair, South Africa. And technically the plane should be cold and dark if we're the first flight, but we'll work with it. So I just want to get some lights on first so we can see what we are doing. And then we will get passengers boarding. But before that, we'll set up all of our fuel and payload. So let's do that first. So batteries are on. Let's just take, I think, yeah, the IRS is already aligned for us. And let's get fuel and payload. We are in kgs. There was an update for the ZIBO and I lost some of my settings, but it looks like everything is back. Right, so for today, fuel, we need 10.1 tons of fuel. So we'll do 10-100 like so, and then we can call the fuel truck to start uploading that fuel. Then if we go into payload, I didn't actually double check how many passengers we have, so let's do that now. So I'll load for today. The 404 is also here. Nice. The full house, everyone's here tonight. Which is interesting because I didn't schedule this stream. I just decided 10 minutes ago and it's time to go live, and everyone's here. Which is awesome. Really, really cool. Okay, we have 150 passengers on board today. So the way I normally do this is let's put in 150 passengers and then compare our zero fuel weight. That will take a while to update. There we go. It looks like it just did, I think. Right, so we currently, there we go, now it's properly updated. So we're currently 56.2, and we should be for this flight 60.5, which is quite heavy actually. So we're going to put in some cargo. So we're just going to YOLO some numbers and see what we come up to. Right, 59.6, so we need to add in a little more. And I could technically just do the maths, but I'm lazy to do maths. Okay, 60.2, so we need a little bit more because we want to be 60.5. No, not 11,000. That's not going to go well. There we go. Okay, 60.3, so a little bit more. Right, 60.5, that's perfect. So we have our zero fuel weight is set, and we have our fuel busy uploading. Let's double check that that's actually happening. We should see these numbers going up, which they are, which means these actually should be off. Right. Now that that is all set, we can start loading the passengers. So flight time for today, 2 hours and 10 minutes. And we've got about 40 minutes, not 40 hours, 40 minutes before we take off. Let's get everyone on board. There we go. So we should hear everyone boarding now. Right. Now that we've done that, we can start going through the checklist. Okay, so up top, battery is on and guarded, so is the standby power, and we're on the ground power. This should be set to battery, and here we can go to ground power, make sure that we have readings over there, which we do. Okay, IRS switches are set to nav and the IRS is already aligned, so that is perfect. Cabin utility and IFE both on. Emergency exits armed and guarded, or emergency exit lights armed and guarded. Exterior lights will have nav lights are on, wing, wheel well, and logo can all come on for the ground crew. And just to make us slightly more visible, anti-collision light should be off, which it is. Window heats all on. Pitot heats will turn on just before we taxi. Anti-ice not required. Let's double check the temperature, but it is Johannesburg plus 15. No need for anti-ice. Hydraulic. Right, so engine hydraulic pumps should be on and electric hydraulic pumps should be off, like so. Fuel pumps all off. Perfect. Trim air can come on. Isolation valve should be open. APU bleed will turn on once the APU is on, and both packs should be off. Engine bleeds should both be on. Perfect. Fuel is being uploaded. Cruise and landing altitudes we will set. Whew. Yeah. Cruise altitude for today, 340. So we'll dial that in. And Cape Town's elevation is 151 feet. So we'll dial our landing altitude into 150. Like so. Okay, so cruise and landing altitudes set. Fasten seatbelt signs can come on like so. And now we can come down to our FMC. Position is already entered, but we will enter our departure airport, which is Johannesburg. If I could click on the right one, there we go. We're at gate Charlie 4, not that this really matters because we're already aligned anyway. That'll automatically give us our departure, and that's not where we're going today. We are going to Cape Town. I wonder if I've been flying to Durban a few times in the last couple of days. Right, there we go. That's Cape Town, and our flight number today is... We are Comair 441, so 441, like so. Let's activate that route, and we will set up our performance. So 0 fuel weight, it'll pull from the weight and balance, which we are 60.5. On the flight plan, we get reserves 1.1, which is pretty standard for this route. Cost index probably 0. Yeah. So British Airways, according to this flight plan, uses 0. Wonder if MSFS will be updating the files in Cape Town. Oh, the fires in Cape Town to the world map. I doubt that very much. Actually looked at doing some firefighting stuff in X-Plane, but the mod that added fires was not working so nicely, so we scrapped that. Matt, welcome to the stream. Thank you for tuning in. What was I doing now? But yeah, I'm staying away from MSFS until they fix things after the new patch, because my frames dropped significantly and I've had just massive loading times, even when I'm not in France, which is obviously the area that was updated, so we can probably expect that. But I'll give it a couple of weeks before we go back to flight sim. I tried a couple nights ago and it really frustrated me. Oh yes, you weren't on the stream, Darren, when we got to our destination and there was no airport there. There was just nothing on the ground. So yeah, X-Plane it is. X-Plane has been running perfectly recently. Okay, so let's put in 340 for cruise. Like so. Right, top of climb. Outside temperature minus 46, which goes there, and wind 230 at 23. Crate Digging Society. Say that right, yes. I always read that as something else. What's up? Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the stream. Everyone's here tonight. This is awesome. Right, top of climb winds. What did I say? 230 at 23. 230 at 23. People often ask me if I think I could be a real-world pilot, and the fact that I can fly a 737, single pilot, and respond to chat, I think I'd be fine. Let me know what you guys think. If you were on a plane with me and there was an issue, would you trust me to land us safely. Right, flaps fire for takeoff. And our CG, we need to grab from here. So let's go payload. Takeoff CG 30.1, that's also quite high. And that'll give us our trim of 4.5. Yes, you would trust me. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Captain Maddie, thanks for tuning in. Right, 4.5 set on the trim. Let's go to our departure and set up. Right. Now, the winds this week have been different in Joburg because of the high pressure, so most of the departures have been off 2-1. But that high pressure has started kind of phasing out the last 2 days, so I think we'll probably be back on 03. Yeah, we're on 03 left for departure, which is normal. And we are doing, well, we're going to Cape Town, so it's going to be one of the Ragul departures. So 3 Alpha. 3 Alpha is the one. Perfect. Let's put that in. And arriving into Cape Town, runway 19. And it is one of the ODAS, so it'll be 1 Bravo. Perfect. Oh, Nightbot's decided to start working again. There we go, Darren. I don't know. I didn't do anything. I actually completely forgot to look at it, but it's now come back. Hopefully it starts working on the 404 channel as well. Right. I think that all looks good. Let's double check that we have V speeds. We don't, which means something is out of limits, and it's most likely that's all fine. We didn't leave anything out, so it's most likely one of these. There we go. Right, so 149, that's also, so we're quite heavy today by the looks of things. Hopefully holding my breath here, 100%. Did you do Night for Us or Streamlabs? I haven't changed over to Nightbot. It's still on, what is Streamlabs thing called? Chatbot or something like that. I don't know why it wasn't working. Also, I just noticed my camera needs to move a little bit. There we go, without seeing my microphone. So it is still on Chatbot, or whatever Streamlabs one is called. Because Nightbot didn't work either that night. So I don't know. Maybe we test it out once more. Or maybe I should just move over to Nightbot. It is nice to have everything in one place, but Nightbot seems to be working. But yeah, maybe I'll do that during the week. I'll switch it all over to Nightbot for Thursday and see if that works. And then watch, they'll both start working at the same time. Right, we are good to go. We do need our ATIS. So let's flip over 1220.
Alpha, Oscar, Romeo, airport information, Echo 1830, Zulu, weather, wind 119er, at 9er, visibility 10,000, sky clear, temperature 1.
Weather's all good.
-1, QNH 1028, advise on initial.
Okay, 1028. So still fairly high pressure. It got up to like 103.132 a couple of days ago when I was flying. So reasonably high pressure still over Johannesburg. Okay, Altimeter QNH is set. Apu Bleed, double check that it's off. We did look earlier, perfect. Then, are we finished loading fuel? Looks like we are. Perfect. That means we can turn on our left aft fuel pump and we can start up the APU. That should click back to on. Or did it and I'm just blind? Yeah, it did. Okay, hopefully I didn't break it by doing that. Is it starting? We got the low pressure light. Yeah, it is. Cool, perfect. Okay, didn't break it. Got this. Right. So we'll wait for the APU to stabilize. So EGT is going to shoot up and then it'll come back down. Once this light comes on, we can switch over to the APU for our power source. Right. Let's flip this over to APU. So we'll see, obviously, when we get a reading there, it means our APU is ready as well. If that light also comes on, it means the same thing. Okay, while that's powering up, which it's almost done, let's turn on the flight directors. Quarter throttle should be off. Don't forget that before takeoff. I like to do that. Glitched is here. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, altitude. We're going up to cruise altitude. What were we doing? 340. So a little bit of scrolling simulator. Now, if we were flying real with air traffic control, we would set this to whatever altitude ATC cleared us to, but we don't have any ATC. So we're going to go right up to 340. Okay, APU should probably be online by now. Right, so we have power, and we have the available lights lit, so we can switch over to the APU. Let's turn on the APU bleed to get some air into the cabin. Right. Fuel flow, let's reset and flip over to used. Minimum should be set to radio, and it is. Landing gear lever should be down. Spoilers should be down, but the lever should be up. Flaps, lever should match the reading. They're both at 0. Perfect. Thrust levers should be closed. And let's just resync speed brakes with our joystick. Otherwise it will catch us out later. Engine start lever should both be in cutoff. Parking brake is set. Yaw damper should be on and aligned. No, not the yaw damper aligned. On if the IRS is aligned. I say that every time. Passengers are almost on boarding, I hope. Once they are on board, we are ready to go. Right. Let's have a look then at our departure. So normally I do this on my iPad in front of me because it's easier. But now I can actually do it here and you guys can see what I'm looking at. So let's go to charts. Right, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is our airport briefing and just see if there's anything relevant to us. Let's actually zoom this in a little bit. That's a bit better. Wow, this is taking forever. Okay, while that's loading, let's see what else we need. We need this guy so we can see where we're going to taxi. We don't need the coordinates for this flight. We need the departure. We also need our SID. So, which one are we doing? We're doing Ragul 3 Alpha, which is this guy. Right, let's go and have a look. So, ATIS we've already done. Low vis doesn't apply to us. The weather is perfect. This whole transponder section basically means if we have this transponder setting on our transponder, we use that even when we're taxiing. We don't have that in this aircraft, so we'll stay on standby. That's the ground crew, not the ground crew, the cabin crew letting us know that there's been an issue with, I think she said baggage or seating. So it's going to take a little longer to get everyone on board. Right, aircraft using taxiway Alpha. That is going to be us. Let's double check. So we are over there. And we are going to be taking off runway 3 left, which is here. So we will taxi. Normally we just go Lima Alpha to the holding point. So that means taxiway Alpha does apply to us. Hold short of taxiway Delta, that doesn't affect us, neither does November. We're not on Charlie. Our wingspan is smaller than that. We're not going there or there. Taking off 03 left, that is us. Beware of aircraft crossing taxiway Echo. Okay, so the jet blasts on the runway when they cross over here. So we just need to pay attention if there is an aircraft that's just crossed in front of us when we take off. There could be a little bit of unstable air there because of their jet blast. Okay, we're not there either, or there, we're not code F, so we're all good to go. Let's go ahead and close that one, and we can read noise abatement. Right, so we need to do an NADP2 departure. Start up, pushback, and taxi. That's not us. We're on Charlie, not Delta. Right, so let's put that in. Right. So if we come over here, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. And let's go to second page. Okay, that's fine. Let's go second page on this one. No, this isn't the page I'm looking for. Okay, that's right. We want to go this one on the second page. That's what I'm looking for. Right. So for NADP 2, wait, did it say 2 or 1 now? It is 2. Okay. So then we do 800, and I don't know if this is strictly accurate because I've never been taught the procedures, but from what I understand on the graph, that's what we do. Like so. Let's hope that's right. Right. How did you learn all of this? Watching YouTube videos, reading stuff, and basically just many years of doing this. I've been doing flight sim, I think it's about 11 or 12 years now. And I started off not knowing any of this, just pushing the auto start Control E in old flight sim, start the engines, and you just go. And then slowly I just learned about the different systems, and mostly just watching streams like this and lots of YouTube videos, and as many there's a channel called Air Clips, so they do they organize with the airlines, and they actually go and sit in the cockpit with the pilots, they interview them, and they show you everything they're doing, that kind of thing, watching loads of that. So no one's ever taught me anything aside, I guess, from the YouTube videos that I've watched. It's just all information that I've kind of just gathered over the last 10 years or so. And I'm fully aware that I'm probably doing several things not really the right way, but hey, I'm not a real pilot, so it's good enough for me. Right. NADP is set. We can close that guy. Let's have a look at our departure. So we are departing Raggle 3 Alpha, which is this one, 03 left. So 5.5 DME from the Johannesburg VOR. We will turn left to 281 degrees. And we will then intercept this radio from Waterkloof. Is it a Waterkloof radio? Yeah, it is. 241. Direct to Raggle. That's it. Very simple procedures here in South Africa. Let's see what they say. Comply with the SID. Oh, sorry, that's lost comms. That's why it says comply. This is what we want. Okay, so transition altitude 8,000. We need to remember that. That's fine. That's fine. Right, so that's the lost comms procedure. We also want to read this. This is the really important one. Right, climb on runway track to 5.5. That's what we said. Turn left to track. Perfect. Let's now double check that all of that is set in the FMC. So what we can actually do, and I always forget about this, is you can actually move this tablet. This is the only aircraft I know of where you can move the tablet and it's free. All the payware ones, I don't think you can do this. At least the ones that I own, you can't. Right. So, JSV 06, which is going to be there. And then we turn to intercept 281, perfect. Sorry, we turn to 281, and then we turn to intercept the 241 radio, and then onto Raggle. So that's all programmed in. Are there any speed restrictions? The only one is max 250 knots below 10,000, which is completely normal, so we don't need to stress about that. Right. We're just waiting for the passengers now. That is our taxi. I guess we kind of did the taxi briefing, but departure briefing. So taxi briefing is Lima Alpha to the holding point. Very simple taxi, which means we need to push back and we need to face east, which is to our right. So let's actually get our pushback set up.
Please show me where you want to go.
And this plugin that does this pushback is the best plugin for pushing back in any sim that I've come across, and it's also completely free. Really cool. It doesn't do all the fancy stuff that like GSX and stuff like that do, but the pushback the way you set it up and program it is just so much easier than all the others. Right. Most of the others you have to kind of steer yourself. Okay. Just want to double check that I haven't missed anything. That all looks good. So while we're waiting for the passengers to get on board, I am quickly going to go get my water because I left it behind my green screen and I can't reach it from here. So I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Right, I'm back.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
One day I believe that this stream will be sponsored by Allergex, because even though I'm not sponsored, Allergex powers this stream, because I wouldn't be able to survive without this. Right. How far are we from finishing boarding? Oh, just finished. Perfect.
We are ready to go when you are. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard Flight 6441. Our flight time will be roughly 2
What did they say,
hours,
5441?
10 minutes. Please note the cabin door is now closed. We ask
Am I
that
back in
you secure all
Pretoria?
devices
Yes, I
during
am,
the
but
episode, and your
only
voice
until
devices
tomorrow.
are now shut down and stowed. If you have not already, please fasten your seatbelt and verify it is low and tight across.
But I'm not coming to the studio tomorrow. I will be house sitting with Kelly.
Cabin crew, prepare doors for departure, cross-check, verify straps, and stand
Cool.
by for all call.
We are
Cabin crew,
ready
keep
to
the doors for
push.
departure.
So, pushback. We can turn on electric hydraulic pump B, which is that one. All fuel pumps for the tanks with fuel in, which is all of them, can come on. Anti-collision light now goes to on. Position light should be on steady, which it is already. Auto throttle we can arm, and then we can release the brakes and start the push. Before I forget, let's just double check that flight tracking is working. If only you owned a plane, then you could get between Joburg and Pretoria a lot faster. Yeah, I'll just fly to Oratambo, which will take me like 20 minutes, and then you add on the 45 minutes of prep before that, and then the 45 minutes of driving from Oratambo to the house, and it ends up being 3 times longer than just driving. So while it would be a lot more fun, I'm not entirely sure it would be faster. If I had a helicopter though, and you had a decent sized garden, then I could just, seeing as you are the landowner, get permission from you to land in your garden. I don't think that's exactly how it works. You'd probably have to get permission from other people. Yeah, it'll also be very expensive. But if you're willing to sponsor the stream with a real plane, or a helicopter and a helipad, I will 100% not say no. Right, here we go. That bell that you're hearing
Start engines.
is just for the jetway going away. We are cleared to start engines. So I like to put this on both, just looks better. And we will start engine 2 first. And this can now go away, so it's in the way of my engine displays.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your complete attention to the flight attendants as they demonstrate the safety features.
Okay, looking for nothing at the moment because our display is off. There we go. Looking for 18 on the N2. And then we can introduce the fuel.
To fasten, insert the metal fittings into one another and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt,
Where's your
lift up a
co-pilot?
portion of the buckle.
On holiday.
We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight as we may experience unexpected turbulence. There are several emergency exits on this aircraft.
Unfortunately, there's no FS to crew for X-Plane. So I've got FS to crew for old flight sim where you get like a voice-activated co-pilot, which actually really works well. It's so cool. And they are busy developing stuff for the new flight sim. If I can ever get flight sim to run properly, when FS to crew comes out, that'll be super cool. Alright, let's start engine 1. I nearly said 2. We're starting at second, but it's actually engine 1 because it's on the left.
If you're traveling with children, now's the time to pick your favorite one. But secure your mask and then assist.
They've changed those announcements for PACX. If you're flying with children, now's the time to pick your favorite one. It's a bit like Kalula-esque, which is cool because we're flying Comair. Right, pushback is done. Parking brake set. Oh, I didn't put the fuel in.
To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord only when exiting the aircraft. If it doesn't inflate automatically, you may blow into the mouthpiece for manual inflation.
Right, let's align the heading with our runway so long. Like so. Yeah, auto throttles aren't... oh, we didn't set our V-speed. It was 149, I remember. Okay, clear to disconnect and go to hand signals.
We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight.
Right, engines are stable.
Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the smoke detectors located in the lavatories is strictly prohibited by law. All of this information and more can be found.
Now this is a step that I always forget, because you don't have to do this in Airbus aircraft. You need to switch over from the APU to the engines. And if you don't do that, what happens now when we turn off the APU, which we should turn this off first, we turn off the APU and then we lose power to the aircraft, and then the system's shut down and we got to reprogram stuff. So that is my favorite thing to forget, so I try and make a note to remember that every time. Right, so packs are now on. This can come back to auto. You don't need the wheel well or the wing lights anymore. Logo lights will turn off once we've taken off. That's all good. That's now on. Looks. Let's see for the hand signal. There he is. Thumbs up. Letting us know we are good to go. Richard will be landing soon, by the way. Okay, that's awesome. He's flew from Amsterdam, I think. I don't know why I think that, but maybe I'm just telepathic? Psychic? I don't know. No, he's already taken off, so it wouldn't be psychic. Okay, shut up, then let's actually fly the plane. Auto brake, RTO. Right, let's go through the checklist. Did I turn on the probe heats? Yes, I did. I turned on hydraulic pump system A. NTI is not required. Left and right packs are both auto. Isolation valve auto. APU off and APU bleed is off. Flaps 5 for takeoff. 1, 2, 5. Taxi lights. And runway turn-off lights can come on. Then we are good to go. So let's give it a little bit of power just so we don't roll backwards in case we're on a slope. Release the parking brake and we can taxi out to runway 03 left. Now one thing I should double check, because this happened a few days ago, is that for some reason this door opens. Okay, it is closed. I got to the runway and powered up the engines for takeoff, and I'm like, geez, the engines are so loud after this update. And then I realized that the door was open for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if I clicked something by mistake, but for some reason it was open when we tried to take off. So we'll double check that. Red posted a screenshot. Oh, okay, that's where I saw it. So I'm not psychic, I just remember things. Right, before takeoff, checklist. Flaps. Firstly, stay on the line. Flaps 5 set and green. Taxi lights are on. Oh, that's the taxi checklist that I'm reading. I was wondering why taxi lights had anything to do with takeoff. Okay, before takeoff. I'm steering like an absolute potato, trying to read chat and read checklists. Maybe I'm not that good a pilot after all. Okay, let's actually do the before takeoff checklist. Start switches, continuous. Auto brake is set to RTO. Runway turn-off lights will turn off as we enter the runway. TCAS will come to TARA. Heading is set to match the runway. That's good. ENAV and LNAV, we can arm both of those. Lower ECAM display, we can blank that guy like so. Right. Then let's just brief our departure. So once we enter the runway, turn-off lights will come on. Landing lights will... Oh, sorry. Turn-off lights will come off. Landing lights will come on. We then need to make sure we set the TCAS to TARA, which is there. And we'll start the clock. Power up to 40%, which is over there. Make sure that both engines are stable. We don't have asymmetric thrust. Once they're both stable at 40%, we'll hit the toga button, and then we will follow our V-speeds for our takeoff procedure. That's all you want to hear from your pilot. I'm not a good pilot. At least I'm honest. I'd rather hear a pilot say, I'm not a good pilot, and then not fly, than someone who doesn't know what they're doing say, I am a good pilot, and then you do fly. Right, here is the hold short point. So in reality, we would stop here unless ATC had already cleared us onto the runway, which they normally do unless there's an aircraft landing or departing right ahead of us. So we'll just imagine that they told us we are cleared for takeoff, runway 03 left. Let's turn on the, I know nearly said takeoff lights, they're called landing lights. These guys can come off. We'll make the turn and then I'll do the transponder because I've got to look down there behind the throttles. Right, so we are nice and lined up. The heading indicator is perfect. Not the heading indicator, the heading bug. Where's the transponder? There we go. TARA. Right, start the clock. Throttle up 40%. And all looks good. Let's go toga. And now it's just a case of keeping it straight on the runway and following the callouts. So we're looking at the airspeed indicator, which is now alive. And our co-pilot will call out 80 knots. We double check
80 knots
to make sure that both of our indicators are reading the same speed, which they are. Don't read chat while you're taking off, not a good time. Right, coming up to V1. And rotate. A little bit of a crosswind, 7 knots.
Positive rate.
Hey, positive rate, gear up. Ooh, a little bumpy. Once we pass 400 feet, I like to get the autopilot in fairly quickly so that we can do all of the things.
400.
Oops, so there's 400 feet. Right, so autopilot 1 can come on like so. Okay, now taxi light can come off. Start switch is back to off. Logo light can come off. And I think that's us good for now. We'll start retracting the flaps. Where is Dave? Which Dave? Okay, flaps can now go flaps 1. And we will set our gear to off. So what happens is when they're in the up position, actually I'll explain that in a moment. Right, we'll go flaps up. And remember, transition altitude is 4,000 feet. So once we pass 4,000, we'll flip over to standard altimeter. We can also turn on the weather radar, even though we aren't expecting any issues. And we can set our auto brakes back to off. After takeoff checklist. Autopilot's on, flaps up, auto brake off, engine start switches back to auto, which is actually off. Altimeter, we're about to flip over to standard. And then crossing 10,000 feet, landing lights off. And seatbelt signs off as well. Right, but here we go. Powering out of Joburg on our way down to Cape Town. Nice sunrise, early morning flight out of Joburg. Okay, there's 8,000 feet, so let's flip over to standard altimeter. Okay, what was I explaining? Oh yes, the gear lever. So when it's up, the hydraulics for the gear are actually pressured and physically holding the gear up. Once it gets up, then there's pins that lock the gear in place. And once that's happened, you set the gear lever down to off, and that depressurizes the hydraulics so they aren't actually physically working. I think if you leave it up in reality for too long, I don't know, I think something happens. Maybe the pressure drops or something in the hydraulics and you won't be able to lower the gear. I can't remember exactly what happens. But yeah, that's what's happening. When it's set to up, it's actually physically using the hydraulic pressure to hold the gear up. Right, have you heard about the fires in Cape Town? Yeah, I have actually. It's crazy. I was looking at some photos earlier. There's 10,000 feet. So landing lights can come off. And fasten seatbelt signs can come off. Yeah, the fires have been insane. So I was actually looking at doing some sort of firefighting flying in X-Plane, but there's a firefighting mod that adds actual fires and the ability to basically chuck water on them with a helicopter, but it's not the easiest installation, and I just didn't have time to play with it enough to get it to work. So, but yeah, the fires have been crazy, and I was actually watching some videos. So working on fires is, I think, the biggest like firefighting, I don't know, company or organization or whatever you want to call it in South Africa. And they've got some serious helicopters. They've got a couple of Hueys. They've also got an Black Hawk now. I think it might have come from the RAF. I'm not 100% sure. That could very easily be wrong. But for those of you that don't know, Black Hawks are the US Air Force and Navy use them. I think they're called Seahawks in the Navy. The Army use them. Those are called Pave Hawks, I think. And it's their big transport helicopter. So not the really big twin rotor one. Those are the Chinooks. But the Black Hawks are, if you ever watched movies, anything to do with the US military, you've seen Black Hawk helicopters. And Working on Fire actually has one for firefighting. Absolute beast of a machine. Stash and Mike were evacuated from work today due to the smoke. Wow, okay, that's hectic. I saw a couple of posts from people that I saw in that I know in Cape Town, and they were saying people were being evacuated, but everyone that I know was a little bit further out from where the fire is. So they said they hadn't left yet, but they were basically preparing for in the next day or two to be evacuated as well. So yeah, it sounds pretty intense. And I know UCT, their library burnt down. They lost like the entire building. So yeah, really hectic. I don't know why that always says we're landing in Los Angeles, because we definitely aren't. Unless you guys are keen, quick, geez, from here to Los Angeles, I don't think we'll even have, I mean, this aircraft won't have the range, but I'm thinking like, the longest flight was from Joburg over to Atlanta. That's like a 17-hour flight. So if you want to go all the way to LA, it's going to be like a probably 19-20 hour flight. So we get out the A350, which I don't have one, but wonder if the A350 could go from Joburg to LA. Probably not, because most of the aircraft have weight restrictions out of Joburg because the elevation is so high, and it's normally pretty hot in Joburg as well. So don't know if the A350 would be able to take enough fuel. And every time I move my camera, move it the wrong way. Let's get this out the way. So I wonder, that's something I must actually look up, see if an A350 could go from here to LA. I doubt it. But no, this stream is not going to be 20 hours long. It's going to be about another... Well, actually, let's look. That's why, actually, I appreciate you guys watching so much, because I mean, we've been streaming for almost an hour and we only just left. Like with Flight Sim, there's a lot of preparation before you actually get going. What was I trying to do? Let's go to progress. So we're expecting to be at Cape Town at exactly 6 a.m. Zulu, which is 1 hour and 40, well actually 1 hour 39 minutes from now. And then obviously it's another probably 10 minutes after that to taxi into the gate and shut down. Not sure taxi at Cape Town, but we'll shut down the aircraft and all of that. So I'd say probably about another just under 2 hours to go. Definitely a lot better than 20. Okay, the next thing we're keeping an eye on is our center fuel tank, and we'll get a little fuel warning here. That's when our center fuel tank is empty and we need to turn those pumps off. That's basically the next thing we're looking for. Obviously just keeping an eye on everything as we climb up to cruise. So just passing 22,000 feet. Right, but otherwise hope everyone has had a good start to the week and kicked off the week with a good day. And thank you so much to everyone for choosing to spend your Monday evening watching me fly a plane. If only I could speak. What, Darren, what do you call us? Level, what is it? Level 1 readers. My reading's okay, but my speaking is level 1. You see, when I read the checklist, I can fly through it and say everything nice and quickly, and then as soon as I've got to just speak, I say fly a plane. Level 1, are you sure? Yeah, okay, but with the reading and speaking, level 1 is the worst. It's not like Lockdown. Lockdown level 1 was the best. Reading level 1 is terrible. This is probably going to be loud. Not crazy bad. Nice sunrise over Johannesburg. I should have, let's see if I have wing views. There we go. How cool is that? I'll try not to look at the passengers because they freak Kelly out. See, being a pilot is easy. Just chill, drink some water, read some books. I've always heard that being a pilot is half an hour of panic, and then 6 hours of nothing, and then half an hour of panic. The passengers look so weird. No, they are pretty weird. I will agree with you on that. So the only times I've ever flown to Cape Town, this would be my exact view. In fact, the last time I flew to Cape Town, let's put the checklist away for now. The last time I flew to Cape Town, oh no, the passengers. Something wrong with your neck. Your head looks like it's glued on. Let's try not to go out the roof because it gets really loud when you do that. So when I flew to Cape Town last, I sat. Oh, this cabin has business class. I didn't have business class because I flew SAFAIR. It was all economy. That's Austin, by the way. He's one of the lead developers of X-Plane. I'm not sure his exact title. Jeez, you look terrifying. I sat here right in the front, so I couldn't see the wing. It's too far back. Okay, I guess you can kind of see it, and I could see it if I looked like this, but if you do this for like the whole flight, you'll have a really sore neck by the end of the flight. That's basically what I saw all the way down to Cape Town. Run away. They are looking at us. There's the end of our ortho scenery. So I just do, because these ortho scenery files take up so much space. So I've just got kind of decent section around each airport, the ones that I fly into the most. And so I mean, once we get up here to cruise altitude, we're up above 30,000 feet. Doesn't really matter. Hello, Austin. Now the passengers they're an odd bunch. These are the business class passengers. You'd think they'd be... Your arms are way too thin. Just making all the use of the leg room. You'll just lie down on the couch. On the couch? I mean, like it's a couch. Why am I moving so slowly? There we go. Okay, let's get some away from the plebs. Salt just tuning everyone on his flight. You know, they don't call me Salt for nothing. Check your phone, I've been made famous. Did they put a picture of you up on Facebook? Nice. Must have been cold this morning if you guys are all doing your runs with jackets on. I wouldn't know. I don't wake up until it's like 10 o'clock and then it's warm. Question: if you have any system failures causing an engine fire, would you be able to see it if you went back into the cabin? Yes. So they actually do that. Either, depending on what they think the issue is, they'll either ask one of the cabin crew to have a look, or one of the pilots will go and have a look and see if they can see any issues. And it'll help you just to identify, is the engine still on fire? Are there any pieces missing? Is there any damage to the wing? That kind of thing. Obviously, there's nothing really you can do about it, but it just helps you have information about what the issue is. Remember that if you do have an engine fire, there are fire extinguishers. not the fire extinguishers that you're thinking of in a building that you grab and spray, but these guys over here. So there's one for each engine, one for the APU, and I think it actually has there's two kind of, I don't know, canisters or discharges, so you can turn this to the left or the right, so you get 2 chances, and it'll just flood the engine. If you pull this, the engine's dead. So if there's no fire and we pull it now, we lose that engine. Obviously, yeah, it does kill the engine, but if the engine's on fire, then you want exactly that to happen. So it'll cut off all the fuel, it'll flood it with foam or whatever, and hopefully put out the fire. And there's one for the APU as well, in case you have an APU fire. But yeah, it does happen that they do send either one of the cabin crew. Often on the on long haul flights, you have 2 sets of crew so that they can rest. So there'll be a reserve crew, or what do they call it, relief crew. So they might ask one of the other pilots, because if there is an issue, normally very often what happens is the relief crew will then stop resting and actually come and help to sort out the problem, and then they'll send one of them to look, or they'll ask the cabin crew, or if you really need to, one of the pilots can get up and go and have a look. So yeah, for sure. The only thing is you have to try and do it. Obviously, if the engine's on fire, the passengers are going to know, but if there have been situations where there's like a fuel leak or something that the passengers might not know about, and knowing that, if I was on the plane and I saw the pilot come out there and look out on the wing, I'd be like, okay, something's wrong. I probably wouldn't stress too much, because I'm generally fairly confident that the pilots know what they're doing. But I mean, if you don't see anything and the pilot comes and they're kind of looking, there's probably an issue. However, if they haven't said anything to you, then there's probably nothing to worry about, because I think people don't really realize how many flights actually have small issues that you don't ever know. I'm a bit worried though, because we're losing speed. I think just resetting my speed brake. I think the speed brake may have deployed a little bit. So reset it, yeah, we're gaining speed. So I think the speed brakes came up a little bit for some reason. Maybe I bumped it on my HOTAS. Prepare yourself. We are doing my run this Sunday. Don't worry, I have let... Oh, right. I don't have shoes. They're lost. Right, we have just a little bit of fuel, 510 kgs left in our center tanks. I got my PreSonus interface today, Darren. It's actually really cool. It came with so much free stuff. I got a whole bunch of plugins from Brainworks and Plugin Alliance and a bunch of things that came for free with it that I didn't know about. And the Studio One artist, which is... Studio One's actually really cool. So I was messing around with that today. And then in other news, while I was setting that up, I realized something that I hadn't done with the Mbox. And then I got the Mbox to work, but only on my Windows PC. It doesn't work on the laptop. So I'll use the PreSonus with my laptop, but I can set up my Mbox with the Firewire. I got it to work with my PC. I was surprised how small that little interface is. It's like it can fit in one of my hands. Like the Mbox is huge. It's like the size of my keyboard. So it's way more portable. So I'm definitely gonna take that around with me. Record the treffers everywhere. You're gonna make a plan for me to. I mean, I'm not wearing your shoes. My feet will break. Just remind me tomorrow to look. I think my shoes might be here somewhere. But you'll have to remember because I'll forget. Talking about engine fires. One of the flights that I went on down to, I think it was to Cape Town. It might have been the flight to Durban. But, yes, it was flying down to Durban. And it was also one of these like really early morning flights. And I was sitting kind of where we are now, and I was looking at the engine, and it honestly looked like flames coming out of this little edge. And then I realized what it was. There was a piece of tape that was orange. So that obviously taped something down inside, and just a little strip about, I don't know, probably this long. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Had come out from underneath. So it was like that bright orange day glow tape. So just a little piece had come out between the cowling, and it had then, because of the speed of the air, it had torn, so it was jagged, and it was like flapping like this, and it was bright orange. And in the morning, because of the way the sunlight was, and it wasn't, you know, fully bright, it was still kind of dark, it just looked like little flames coming out there. So that was kind of freaky. And then when the sun rose properly, and then the sun was shining on it from above, then I could see that it was actually tape, it wasn't flames. Right, we should be cruising at 34,000 feet now. Yes, we are. Okay, what is the time in the sim? We've been 25.5 minutes since we took off. That's why we started the clock. It is 20 to 5, and we're expecting Cape Town 1 minute after 6. Oh, I missed that comment. It was yesterday. Yes, it was quite cold. Oh yeah, my run was Sunday. Today's Monday. Just remember to pat. No, I'm only coming in the afternoon tomorrow. Because I need to wait for my mom to get back and stuff. So I'll only come in the afternoon. So I'll pack my stuff tomorrow afternoon. Well, sort of, yeah. fucking word. Oh wow. Oh, that's amazing. Right, we are coming along nicely. Do you normally put music on when you're flying? I never really listen to music while I'm gaming. I can't listen to music while I game, but I'll watch a YouTube video or listen to a podcast or something once I'm cruising. So yeah, the music is mostly for you guys. It makes it nice and chilled. But yeah, I'll listen. Yeah, mostly I just watch YouTube videos. I'll watch a tutorial, or something like that while I'm flying. And especially if like I'm flying a new plane that I'm busy trying to learn, I'll watch videos about the aircraft while I'm flying. So while I'm in cruise, I can learn about the plane, I can get ready for landing, learn about the systems, that kind of thing. Yeah, I never really listen. The only place I listen to music is in my car. While I'm gaming, I'll have some sort of video in the background. My YouTube runs pretty much 24/7. Except when I'm streaming. Well, I guess I'm streaming YouTube now for the music. But, yeah. And it all depends what I feel like watching. Like often I'll watch like Linus's stuff, or I'll watch like F-stoppers talking about camera stuff, or camera conspiracies. I do that a lot while I'm flying as well, that kind of thing. If I'm flying an aircraft that I know, so like if I'm flying this plane, I don't need to learn about the systems. I've spent time learning that already, so then I'll watch something like that. So I'm flying the plane, getting up my hours, learning the plane, learning some other skills as well. The reason YouTubers have money, yeah, it's like one of 4th Maverick's Concorde tutorial. I've watched that video like 30 times. That's like the same video. Every time I fly the Concorde, I've got to go back and watch to see exactly how to fly it. So he's got like 30 views just from me. So we're still predicting 601. Let's have a look at the weather forecast for Cape Town. Absolutely clear skies. No clouds whatsoever. Got our master caution. So that's probably going to be the fuel. We can see the fuel is pretty much gone in the center tanks, so we can turn those pumps off. The other thing I want to do is I think I finally found a fix for these jagged shadows. It's weird because this side they look fine, So someone found a way to do something in the actual config. So I need to try that. Because these jagged shadows have always been a thing in X-Plane for some reason. But I saw a video the other day. It was just quite an involved process. You have to go into the config file and modify some lines of the code. But I'm definitely going to try that. Because that'll be nice. Darren, what are you guys streaming on Thursday? I didn't actually look at the... I saw you talking about it on the group, but I was setting up my interface. What are you guys playing? It's really cool how they added the kind of ambient sound of the... Why are the flaps going down? Oh no, this is the second time this has happened. Well, luckily I came to this view because... So I don't know if my HOTAS is freaking out or if it's the aircraft or X-Plane, because that's the second time. Earlier we had the speed brakes randomly go up. Now the flaps. Interesting. Luckily we switched to this view, otherwise we wouldn't have actually noticed that. Let's just go and double check here. Was it maybe switching to the view that caused it? Maybe we've done these views before. Flaps aren't moving there. Let's go to the other one. Oh. Very, very random. Looks like we're doing part 4 of... Okay. Yeah, the people enjoying It Takes Two. Next week we're doing an early access copy of the PS5 game Returnal. Seems pretty cool. We need to do the third leg of the coastal tour. Okay. But we're only doing coastal tour once we have items. We're not going through what we went through for the Call of the Wild challenge again, because I thought about that. I know we're supposed to do the next leg of coastal tour, but we can't go through that setup again. It's gonna make probably you or I kill someone. Also, I have to tell you about the mental wild game I had today. We must actually... I was thinking about that. We should maybe stream that when we play. It'll be really funny. I'll probably actually play a bit after the stream, to be honest. But that's mine just going to be fairly late. What's the time? It is 10 o'clock. Yeah, tell me about the game. So let's see. We're going to be there in about an hour, so probably 11:30ish, so it is going to be quite late. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Just dropped my pen. Ended with just me and a battleship. Ended up running away from him and capping points fast, and that is ridiculous. That is the thing I think that tilts me the most in that game, is like no one plays the objective. Like the cap. Like last night, those two oaks that all they had to do was sail into the cap, and they turned like just before it and both died. It's fascinating. I guess it's the same in Dota. You find so many people who just run after enemies and don't worry about any objectives. Yeah, I agreed about the obvious ninja. Yeah, no, we can't do that again, dude. That was literally... The problem is, we're all super busy, and like I got so frustrated because it was like 4 hours that we spent, and then it still didn't work. And it's like, just sit there and I go, there's so much stuff that I need to do. And I know Brennan's the same, you the same, Nico's the same. We've got so much stuff to do. We can't afford to just sit the whole afternoon and fight with stupid things that just don't want to do what they're supposed to do. And the other thing is, when we get a new system and we test it and set it up the first time, then we set aside time to do exactly that. And we've used OBS Ninja twice and it was fine. And then we set up everything exactly the same and just nothing works. That's the problem. It's like, we've already spent the time to get this working. I can't waste 4 hours just sitting there. I mean, it was literally, Brennan and I got there at like 2:30, and we were there until, you know, until we streamed at like 10:30. Yeah, that's what really tilts me. Very frustrating. So I'm just applying my life motto. No matter how big the problem is, the more money you throw at it, the faster it goes away. Picking up your ATEM tomorrow. Sick. Yeah, no, we need a different way of doing that. Otherwise, it's gonna destroy us. But I was super keen. Hopefully, I mean, you guys need to... I saw Brendan using Flight Sim the other day, but you need to update yours because you're going to have like 170 gigs to download. And let's see, hopefully it works, because mine is really struggling at the moment. Oh, another thing, which I never saw before the update, which apparently they posted, but before you update now, you have to take everything out of your community folder, then update and put everything back. Because mine, I had stuff in the community folder and it broke the whole game, and I had to uninstall and reinstall from scratch. When you do update, make sure you do that. And if it's that important, they probably should have put that in the game, not just like a Facebook post or something somewhere else, because I didn't see that. Oh, your drive crashed. Okay, so you're installing from scratch anyway. Well, welcome to the club. And I was so excited for new Flight Sim, because the reason I went to X-Plane originally was because old Flight Sim just crashed all the time and it would freak out and get really slow, and then every month I'd have to reinstall it from scratch with all the add-ons. And then when new Flight Sim came out, I was like, finally, I don't have to keep reinstalling this, and I've reinstalled it 3 times already. Anyway. That's why we're back in X-Plane. Much longer to go on the flight, so we are going to be arriving, so touching down in Cape Town at about 6, probably 6:05ish, so just over an hour to go. but probably in about half an hour we'll start prepping everything for our descent. In fact, I can probably already start pulling up charts and things that we need. I mean, the sooner we start prepping, the better. So let's go and get rid of all of our Johannesburg stuff. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. We're going to Cape Town. Right, so we need the general briefing, we need arrival, we need airport, parking stands is important. That's all from there. Then our arrival is Addons 1 Bravo, and our approach is, I think we chose Yankee. Yeah. Let's double check. So Addons 1 Bravo ILS 19 Yankee, which is this one. Right. Landing aircraft contact apron. Oh, we can't actually do that. These are from the real world charts, by the way. So basically what that is saying is when you get within range of the VHF radio, you contact the apron and ask them which stand you're going to on the airport. Okay, aircraft must advise registration, estimated time of arrival, persons on board. That's all pretty simple, but we can't do any of that. So then the transponder bit. This is the same as Johannesburg, so all of the airports, we don't have a transponder mode. So we will go into standby when we're on the ground. So once we taxi off the runway, we will put our transponder to standby, which is pretty standard anyway. Right, taxi procedures. Aircraft with a wingspan of 171 feet or greater. I don't actually know exactly. Do they still update X-Planes World and airports? Also, side note, I saw there's a big... Dude, the DCS update is so good. The clouds are better, I think. They don't have all the weather yet, so things like lightning and thunder still have to be added in. But the clouds are just as good, if not better, than Flight Sim. So I've been getting back into DCS. I was doing some stuff today. The problem is my head tracker is a little bit because I don't have the clips with the LEDs, so it's just tracking my face and it tends to jump around a bit, so I think it might be a bit distracting to watch on stream, but we can try. But yeah, the new DCS update, I'm super impressed. I haven't seen any issues with performance. I do get a couple of stutters every now and then, but I think that's more due to the server and how much stuff is going on the server rather than the update itself, because that's always been an issue in certain places. Kitty's off to bed. Sleep well. Have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, the DCS update is so sick. It looks incredible. No, I still need to order it from the UK. The problem is, I don't know how I'm going to get it here, because it's not like a massive company. It's literally just a guy and his wife who make these things. And the only like shipping they do is it's going to use the South African post, and then I'll just never ever get that. So I need another way to get it from the UK. And then I kind of just forgot about it because we went into lockdown, and then none of that was happening anyway. So I need to somehow figure out a way to get it here from the UK. That'll be great. Do they still update X-Plane? Yeah, they do. They make adjustments every now and then. The world itself, not so much. That's all just like third-party stuff. The third-party developers are still doing a lot for X-Plane. But they update the physics and things like that, the flight models. I think X-Plane 12 is going to come out in the next couple of years. I know they're working on something big. No one knows what it is. But basically they mentioned before, I think it was a live stream or something on one of the Discord servers. That was actually Austin who said something that they have something in the works that's going to challenge new flight sim. So I'm expecting it to be X-Plane 12. I don't know when it'll come out, but yeah, so I think they're more focused on that. But yeah, the new DCS looks so sick. The problem with DCS is those fighter aircraft are so complicated. Like I got in, and the other thing is those aircraft, because most of them are like kind of early access, every couple of weeks there's new systems added and I just can't keep up. I get in the Hornet today and I'm like, cool, let me fire off some anti-radiation missiles, and I just couldn't get them to work. And then I look and like, oh, they changed the way these work completely, and now I've got to relearn all of that again. So unless you're doing that every day, it's so difficult to just keep on top of all the systems. So, but yeah, I'm really impressed with DCS. The other thing is I can't, if I do stream it, I can't use it with my camera, because it clashes with the camera for the head tracking. So I'd have to stream it without, you wouldn't be able to see me, but that's not really an issue. Matt says, I ordered a part of a British Airways 737-400. Went through the SA post, never got it. Yeah, sounds about right. Got hold of the suppliers and they resent it through TNT. Came in 6 days. Yeah, that sounds about right. I guess I could maybe contact them and ask them. It's just, I feel bad, like they're a little small 2-person operation, you know, doing all this cool stuff. 747-400. Okay, cool. What part did you get? That's really cool. But yeah, the SA Post, and even some of the courier companies just dealing with South Africa is a nightmare. Like I ordered a GoPro from overseas, and GoPro stuff ships from Cologne, and it took literally, I think it was about 13 or 14 hours. Multi-system control panel. Okay, that's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I ordered my camera, and about 13 hours after I'd ordered it, it had made its way from Cologne to Johannesburg, and it was at Oratambo, and then it took 3.5 months for me to get it from the airport. So they got it, that was UPS. They got it across the world in 13 hours, and then for me to get it from somewhere that's a 20-minute drive took 3.5 months. And yeah, anyway. Right. Oh yes, I was looking up the wingspan for our 737-800. So 34 meters is the wingspan of the 737. So we're less than 52, so that's fine. We're not a 777X. 777X, first commercial airliner that has folding wingtips like a Navy jet. Okay, caution on taxiway Tango, no markings, no lights. Caution taxiway hotel, not managed by ground. We don't go to hotel. I think that's on the other side. Where is hotel? Oh, there, right. That's in that section. We're definitely not going in there. Right, we are landing runway 19, which is this guy here. And we are probably gonna taxi off here at Charlie. If we land long and we miss that, we'll have to take Bravo. So we'll do a bit of extra auto brake and see if we can Stop at Charlie. Right, where were we? Taxi procedures. Yes, so runway 19, it said plan to vacate at taxiway Charlie. Okay, we'll do that. Docking guidance doesn't affect us in the game. Paragliding, birds. We'll be doing Cat 1 because the weather is perfectly fine. Ah, okay. When runway 19 is in use, expect ILS Zulu. So let's actually change that then, because we picked Yankee. So they said expect Zulu unless they say otherwise. So we'll land for Zulu, which means we do need to change. It's probably the last one, isn't it? Yeah, that one. And we need to open ILS. We're not doing Cat 2, so it's this one. Right, so we've been through all of that. Okay, so we've already said we're going to be coming in on 19 and planning to exit on taxiway Charlie. So the one thing I've always wanted to find out, I guess you would have to measure it, but there must be a way to know how far each taxiway is from the end of the runway, because I'd love to know what distance we have, you know, from the touchdown markers, not actually the end, from where we touch down to that taxiway. And I'm guaranteed that information will be somewhere. I just don't know where to find it. Okay, and normally I do Alpha 7 or 8, so we'll probably do Alpha 7 once we arrive. So we will taxi in. Very simple, Airport Cape Town Charlie, and then onto Bravo, onto the apron Alpha 7. That's pretty simple. Right, let's look at the arrival. So we come in Addons, so 30 DME, we need to be max 250 knots. And then 11 DME, we need to be max 210. And then we turn right 10 degrees. Make sure that we have all of this in the FMC. So there's Addons. Then we should be 30 DME below 250. And then that's actually the name of the waypoint. That's perfect. Below 210, then we will be vectored, so ATC would actually tell us exactly where to fly. We'll do our own vector and line up with the ILS runway 19. Let's program in our frequencies so long. So 109.1 is our ILS frequency. So let's do 109.1. We'll do that on both sides. We're not doing an auto land, but we just do that out of habit. And the we need the course, so that we'll get here. (189 degrees). So we'll dial that in as well. 189, and once again we'll do it on both sides. Okay, that all looks good. So 109.1 is set. Okay, these speeds we need to pay attention to. So on the localizer, so up until 10 DME, we need to be maximum 180 knots. And then to 5.4, max 150 knots. So we're actually going to slow down a little bit earlier than we would normally. So 10 DME from the airport, 180, and then 5.4, we can start slowing down from 150. Let's see if we go here. So we're landing 19. That's fine. Condition is dry. Let's double check the winds. So Cape Town winds 140 at 4. And the temperature is 16. So 140 at 4. Temperature is 16. QNH 1020. 1020. Put that in. Flaps we will do 30. Aircon, auto, anti-ice not required. Brakes, we'll do auto brake 3. That's fine. Speed brake auto. This doesn't work if we're doing a dry runway landing. Okay, landing weight. This is not going to update on its own. So we need to go and grab this from here. Landing weight 65741. 65741. And VREF add 5. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so our VREF is 154. See, this is why I want to know those distances to the taxiways, because this says with auto brake level 3 we're going to take 1,896 meters to slow down, and I don't know if taxiway Charlie is if that means we can make Charlie. That's why I would love to know that information. See, that's radar minimums. Yeah, if it was anywhere, it would be under airport somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe the real world charts have that, we just don't have access to that. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess you could measure it on the chart because they do have a scale. But I'm not going that far, so I think we should be alright. We just need to make sure that we don't land too long. Right, otherwise we are good to go. A little bit of cloud, but all high level clouds as we're getting closer to Cape Town. So the weather now, when I was looking, did say nothing below 20,000 feet. So there's probably some high level clouds along the way closer to Cape Town as well, but nothing below 20,000 feet. So nothing's going to affect us when we're landing. That's an interesting weather change. Oh, it's now raining. It just stopped raining. Interesting. Yeah, we've now got a little bit of rain up here. At 34,000 feet. I don't know about that. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, it is now sort of trying to rain on and off. Let me see what Active Sky is doing. Oh, so we're currently in between weather stations, so it's trying to kind of interpolate what's actually going on, and it seems like it might be getting a little confused. However, it doesn't say anything here about precipitation, so it does say cirrus clouds, which we are seeing. You know, I suppose those are meant to be cirrus clouds. It doesn't say anything about rain. Yeah, well, it looks like it stopped stopped drawing rain in the sim now at least. It's a little bit strange. Right, we are on the final stretch down to Cape Town. Let's have a look at what time we're predicting to arrive. 6:04, so we've lost a little bit of time, but we do have a 36 knot headwind, so I guess that would explain that. So time to top a descent, 5:41, so just over 20 minutes until we start our descent into Cape Town. That is our position report. So I'm flying for British Airways Virtual, so that's just pinging me to let me know to fill out the position report. I'm off to bed. Enjoy the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always appreciate it, and we'll see you soon in the next one. Have you ever thought about flying for an airline in real life? I've always wanted to be a real world pilot, but I never really wanted to be an airline pilot. I don't know why, actually. But I'm hopefully one day, one day when I can, I'd love to just, you know, get my private license and be able to fly around more for fun. So I definitely did think about it, and sometimes I think I should have done it, but I always just liked the smaller aircraft, which is weird because in the sim I do a lot of airline flying. So yeah, I definitely did think about it. At the time when I finished school and everything, I was way more into music and stuff like that, so that's why I went into audio engineering, and from there into video as well. So for a living I do all video and audio production, and that was because I was really into audio at the time when I left school, and that's what I went and studied. But yeah, definitely thought about becoming a pilot, but I was never really set on being an airline pilot. So hopefully one day I can get my private license and then do. I've actually also thought about doing gliding. I think gliding is really interesting. So, and it's also not as expensive as, you know, renting a plane to do like your own personal flying and stuff. So maybe one day I'll do like a gliding rating and stuff like that, and fly gliders. But yeah, definitely thought about becoming a real world pilot. And sometimes I think I wonder what it would have been like if I had actually done that. Also, once again, very expensive to get into, but yeah, every time I thought of flying when I first got interested, it wasn't the airliner stuff. It was more just flying the. I'd love to have, like, if I could, you know, all expenses aside and everything, if I could have exactly, I'd love to get like a little, like a Phenom or something like one of those little private jets that you could just use to go on holiday and stuff. That would be the ultimate for me. So the airlines were never the kind of first choice. If I could have exactly what I wanted, it would be a cool little private jet that we could, you know, fly around the country and stuff like that. That would be the ultimate for me. But yeah, I mean, it is really cool being an airline pilot. So I have a couple of friends that fly for airlines and some for charter companies, so it is really cool. But yeah, I still really enjoy what I do, so I don't think everyone has their doubts every now and then where you think maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done something else. But no, it'll be cool to be able to fly one day. I've done one for my 21st birthday. My parents got me like an introductory flight, so we went out to Grand Central and I got to fly a little Cessna 172. We flew out to Hardebeespoort Dam, did some well, turned over the dam and then went back and landed at Grand Central, which was really cool. The instructor, I explained to him that, you know, I do a lot of simming, so I understand a lot of the systems and that, and he's like, okay. We helped me with the rudders on takeoff and landing because we had quite a crosswind. But then once we got into the pattern, he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you a climb speed and a heading, and if you can keep that, then I'm going to let you fly on your own. So I did that, and he basically just gave me instructions, and I flew all the way out to the dam, did a nice steep turn over the dam, came back, and once again he did the rudders when we landed because the crosswind was quite hectic. So, and it was awesome. So I think that's more what I'd be keen to do rather than flying the airliners, is just to be able to have, you know, to be able to fly a little aircraft around, do some like sightseeing and do some like holiday trips and things like that. That would be awesome for me. So tell me about yourself, Matt. What do you do? Are you a real pilot? Obviously, very much into aviation, since you're buying aircraft parts. No one who's not very invested in aviation, or at least interested in aviation, is going to do that. So are you a railroad pilot? How did you get interested in aviation? Do you sim as well? I'm assuming that you do some sort of simming, otherwise you most likely wouldn't be watching this. Right, let's double check. So still predicting 604, and we've got about 89 miles to go before we start our descent at around 541. So just over 12-13 minutes and we will start descending. We've been through all of our briefings for arrival into Cape Town. Sure, still our headwind's gone up a little bit, 43 now. Yeah, let's double check the weather again. Okay, so wind now 91 degrees at 10 knots. Altimeter 1026. Let's go and update. Yo, big wind change from 140, it's now 91 at 10. Oops. Why can't I put a slash? There we go. 091 at 10. Which actually means on runway 19 we have a little bit of a tailwind. It's only 2 knots. We might actually consider changing runways. Just not a big deal. 17 degrees. It's gotten warmer somehow. And what did I say? 1026, I think, yeah. 1026 on the QNH. And our ref speed is now 154, which is the same as it was before. A little bit of a tailwind. We'll see in about 10 minutes, 8 minutes. If the weather hasn't changed, we might actually just swap the runway and come in from the other side. I'd rather not have a tailwind if we can avoid it. When I was 3, went on my first flight to Cape Town, and since then I've loved aviation. I'm going to start my PPL next month, hopefully. That is so sick. All the best. Are you planning to fly for a living then? So once you've done your PPL, go on to multi-engine and night ratings, and then CPL, and all the way up to ATPL? But that is awesome. All the best. Wish you good luck. Hopefully you can nail your PPL. But yeah, I know what you mean. So I grew up in Pietermaritzburg, which has a tiny little airport. And we went on like a school, whatever they called it, outing or something, to the airport the one day just to see how it worked and all of that, and they showed us around. And right at the end, we watched an aircraft start up, because in Pietermaritzburg, they've got like the big glass windows obviously at the terminal, but because it's such a small airport, there's only like 2 parkings, and the aircraft park right there. And you can actually go out of the terminal onto like a little grass area in the front. And we all sat there and watched the Jetstream 41. So tiny little, what do they seat? Probably 20, I think it's like 28, 29 people. Turboprop. And it's taxied in. Everyone shut down. Everyone got off. Next passengers got on, started up and took off. And that was the first thing that I remember where I really got into aviation, was watching that Jetstream come in, and then, you know, do the whole startup procedure and then take off again. So I know exactly what you mean. I don't actually remember my first flight that I went on because I was too young. But I do remember later on going on South African Airways 737. And by then I was already really into aviation. So I know exactly what you mean. I must have been probably 6 or 7 when we had that little school tour to the airport. And ever since then, I've also really, really loved aviation. I also think though, I don't know if I would sim so much, you know, and do this kind of stuff if I flew as a job. So I think I would be, might be tired of flying if I came home after doing this all day. That's my dream day, going to airport to watch planes. Absolutely. My family hates it because if anytime we want to, or anytime we have to go to the airport to pick someone up, I go like way early and go up to the viewing deck and watch all the aircraft. So the last time I flew down to Cape Town for work, that was actually one of the coolest things ever, because somehow they messed up my schedule, and I did my whole presentation and everything and finished at like 4 o'clock, and they only booked my flight at 8:30 that night. So I went straight to the airport and sat there at Cape Town Airport. I went to the Spur and got one of those seats next to the window and just sat there. I had to keep ordering because they wanted me to leave. They said I couldn't just sit there. So I kept ordering like coffee and stuff and just sat for 4.5 hours just watching the aircraft at Cape Town Airport. And I absolutely loved it. I can think of so many people who would have said that's the worst thing ever, but it was so cool. Yeah, so for my 21st birthday, we actually just went to Grand Central to eat at the restaurant. And then my dad ended up speaking to one of the guys there and managed to organize that intro flight. So that wasn't actually the plan. We actually just went there to sit at the restaurant and watch the aircraft. And then it turned into me, you know, actually getting a chance to fly. I've had the opportunity this year to go with Comair in the cockpit from Cape Town to Joburg. So I really want to get a job with Comair or another airline. That is so cool. How did you manage to get that right? So that obviously Kalula flight 124. How did you manage to get into the cockpit? I know that was fairly common, you know, before all the hectic restrictions on people entering the cockpit on planes. But these days, it's not that easy to just, you know, get aboard the cockpit. So Kelly, who was here in the chat earlier, her stepdad actually flew for SAA, so she's been in the cockpit of the A340s a few times, which is really, really cool. Right, I think let's just have a look at the weather. Okay, so the weather's gone back. Okay, 16 degrees, 160 at 5, 1019. So we're back to 16 degrees, 160 at 5. So that's back to what we were expecting earlier. QNH 1019. Right, so we're going to stay then. We've got a 4-knot headwind, so we're definitely going to stay on runway 19. That's perfect. Right, let's dial. Actually, we need to check here first. We intercept the ILS at 3,000 feet, so we're going to eventually descend all the way down to 3,000. Right, and because we've set our altitude on the MCP and we're still in VNAV, the aircraft will automatically start descending once we reach that little green top of descent. It was my birthday, so I sent them an email asking. That is so cool. Oh, that's awesome. That must have been amazing to watch. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Maybe I'll try that next time. In a couple of months, we are flying down to Durban. So maybe I'll try my luck. Although I don't think my girlfriend will be too pleased if I ditch her and go sit in the cockpit. Right, what time did we say we would start descending? 5:42, so 4 minutes. That's really cool though that Comair still does that. Due to COVID, I wasn't allowed in for the whole flight, only for boarding and deboarding. They let me in. It's still cool to see them setting up the plane. Okay, that's pretty cool still. Yeah, I mean, that's often, I guess, aside from takeoff and landing, that's some of the most interesting stuff when, you know, they're flipping all the switches and setting everything up. So I'd be happy with that 100% as well. Yeah, damn COVID ruining everything as always. Alright, we are going to start descending very shortly. So, if I get my checklist again... Right. So center fuel pumps are off. Descent altitude is set. So next thing is we'll turn on the fasten seatbelt signs at 15,000 feet. And then landing lights obviously at 10,000 feet. Right, let's go down to our chart and have a look. So we are gonna come in with a with minimums of 347. Let's go and put that in. So we'll flip that over to Barrow. We'll dial this up to 347. Okay, there we have 347 feet on our minimums. Okay, so the aircraft has now begun its descent. And we'll just monitor our descent path and make sure that we are following that and maintaining our speed. If we are struggling a bit, we will use the speed brakes to help us slow down. I can't remember if this has the whole... Okay, it does have the little descent display, which I never really use, to be honest. It does look cool, but never found that much use for it. Right. So next thing is 15,000 feet seatbelts. Altimeter we can actually dial in. I really like this on the 737 is that you can put the altimeter in without going out of standard. On the Airbus, you have to come out of standard and then dial it to whatever it's set to. Now we can set it there and just leave it, and as soon as we cross the transition we just click the standard button and it'll switch over to the altimeter that we've already dialed in. Right, the other thing we should do is set our auto brake. So we said auto brake level 3. Do you fly on VATSIM? So I haven't flown on VATSIM for a long time, and a couple of people have asked that on the stream, and I've been wanting to get back into it, but it's been many years since I last flew on VATSIM, so I'm gonna have to do some practice before I jump on the stream and do that. I don't know why, but I always just got super nervous flying on VATSIM for like the first, you know, initial calling up and departure and all of that, and getting your clearance, and then after that it's fine and I really enjoy it. So I have been looking over the last few weeks to do some practicing on VATSIM, get back into it, and then do it on the stream. It's just that every single time I've had time to do a flight, I look, there's no ATC on in South Africa, and I'm not quite confident enough to just jump in and fly like somewhere in the UK. I want to do a bit of practice in South Africa first, because I know the airspace really well. So yes, at some point on the streams I will definitely get back into flying VATSIM. I just don't know when. I need to just kind of take the leap and get back into doing it. I flew quite a lot on VATSIM, but that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more. And then I just stopped doing it for a while. But I mean, like, even looking now, there's no ATC online in South Africa, so I tend to I'm a proper night owl, so I'm only just kind of waking up now, and every time I normally only start flying late in the evening after I've finished working and everything, and there's never really anyone online. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It always seems so weird because I'm not really a people's person, but here I am streaming on the internet, which is one of the reasons I actually did it. It's just to get over that whole anxiety thing. So at least I can stream and be on camera now. In the beginning, when I started a few years ago, actually with the 404. So I've only been doing my channel for a few months, but I've been live streaming with the 404 guys, and streaming with a group of people in the beginning made it so much easier to start off with. So at least I've gotten over those nerves. Now, you know, I don't really get nervous before I stream. I'm fine to sit here and talk, even though I often say the biggest load of rubbish. But yeah, the anxiety on VATSIM has always gotten to me. It's so hectic. And one of the things is because I'm a perfectionist, so I don't want to go on there and, you know, make mistakes and look like I don't know what I'm doing. And to be fair, it's all in my head. It's nothing against VATSIM, because all the flights that I've done on VATSIM have been perfectly fine. I had no issues. I made mistakes, and the controllers, you know, corrected me and helped me out. That's their job. No one ever got angry. No one's ever shouted at me or anything. So I don't have an actual legit reason to, you know, to get nervous for flying online. But yeah, I think you understand what I mean. That is just the case. So I will get back into it. Are you also flying an X-plane? Because if I'm flying VATSIM, I'm going to do X-plane just to make sure, because new flight sim has so many bugs and things to streamed a couple of months ago. When I first started streaming, we streamed the A320 in Flight Sim 2020, and it wouldn't follow any of my commands. I did 2 streams, and both of them right as we were coming into the approach, it just, I would set the heading to, you know, 090 and it would go off in the other direction, and I can't have that on VATSIM. So okay, you're doing X-plane, that makes the most sense, because then, you know, at least I know in X-plane the aircraft's going to do what I tell it to do, which is very important. But yeah, I'll take the leap at some point and get back into VATSIM. It's just, yeah, every time I've sat down, I'm like, right, I'm going to do it now. There's no ATC around where I want to fly. So maybe if I get really brave one day, I'll jump in and do some flying around Gatwick. That's always what I've really wanted to do on VATSIM, was get in and fly around the UK for British Airways. So I'm flying for British Airways Virtual. That's the main VA that I fly for, and I'd love to do some flying for them around around London. I mostly fly out of Gatwick, not too much out of Heathrow, so that would be the main goal. My first ever VATSIM flight, I had no idea how anything worked and all of that, so I just jumped in at Heathrow, tuned in, and it was just, I sat there and listened for 5 minutes. I was like, okay, I don't have a clue what anyone's talking about or what's going on. I can't do this. And I left VATSIM for like a few months and eventually came back, and then I started off flying in South Africa. And yeah, a couple of years ago I flew on VATSIM every single time I was in the sim. And then why did I stop? Oh yes, when I moved into my own little flat, I didn't have reliable enough internet, so I stopped flying online. I just flew offline. And then after that, because I didn't practice, or I was in that flat for, I think it was about 2.5, 3 years of not flying online, I just lost those skills and haven't jumped back in since then. So it's, yeah, it's probably been 4 or 5 years since I flew properly on VATSIM. I've tuned in every now and then just to listen to what's going on, to make sure. I've done so much simming now. Like, I know what they're going to say, I know what they're going to tell me to do. It's just, yeah, it's that anxiety is real, so I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, got to get back into VATSIM. You're not the first person to ask me that on the stream, so I will do that at some point. Right, we are coming through 18,000 feet. It's a little bit of cloud. It did say nothing below 20,000, so I guess they're not... Well, we're at 18,000, there's clouds below us, but that report is for directly over the airport, so we'll see as we come through these clouds on the other side, yeah, if there's anything closer towards the airport. Doesn't look like there is. Did a VFR circuit in Cape Town the other day just to try to get used to it. Yeah, I think the IFR stuff on VATSIM, I've always found that easier than VFR, because with IFR, all the procedures are published. It's so much easier to find information about how to fly VFR, how to fly IFR, and also the controllers pretty much tell you exactly what to do. Whereas the VFR, I haven't found that much information on how. I never know, I understand the odd and even 1,000 plus 500 thing for VFR, but then, with the clouds, how do you know if I can fly? Because often, you see aircraft and you're like, they're not flying, 2,500 feet or whatever. They're flying 1,800, and it's like, okay, but how? You're supposed to be at a 1,000 plus 500. Why are you at a level like 1,800 and things like that? So I found the IFR stuff way easier than VFR, because if you plan out your IFR flight plan, you basically can predict before you even take off what they're going to say to you and when they're going to say it, because everything's so published. And then obviously in the case where things change, like runways change or aircraft do something they're not supposed to do and they change you for spacing and that, yeah, then it's going to change up. But other than that, when they're going to contact you, you know what they're going to say most of the time. So I find IFR a lot easier. But yeah, I think VFR circuits are probably one of the best ways to start. When you're doing a circuit, it's easy. You stay with that one controller and you stay close to the aircraft, to the airport. When you start doing like cross-country VFR and stuff, I actually think that's, in terms of the radio procedures, more difficult than the IFR stuff. IFR, they tell you exactly what to do, where to go, how hard to be. But I think mostly that's just due to the information that's available. There's loads of stuff available for IFR. So the controller will give you an altitude and ask you not to go above the altitude, but you can fly at any altitude as long as it is below the set altitude they gave you. Okay, that makes sense. If I did do VFR, I'd probably do it around Johannesburg because I know about the whole special rules area. When you do your PPL training, where are you going to be doing your training? Which airport? Do you know yet? Which airport you're going to be training at? Right, so we're coming up to 11,000 feet. We should have actually turned the seatbelt signs on, but it's not too much of an issue. We'll turn those on now. Grand Central, okay. So you're going to have to learn the special rules area, the Johannesburg special rules area, because there's a whole bunch of special procedures because it's such a see, I can't speak. Busy little piece of airspace. So that's cool. Grand Central is where I did my little intro flight from, so that's awesome. Right, we're coming through 10,000 feet, so let's turn on the landing lights. Right, otherwise we are good to go. So, transition altitude is 8,000 feet again. So once we pass through 8,000, we can switch over to 1019. Otherwise, everything else looks good. A little weather update. Okay. Alright, we're coming up to 8,000 feet. Let's switch our altimeter over. Okay, so altimeter set 1019. Altitude is set for 3,000. ILS, course and frequency. Let's double check. 1091. We have it on 1 and 2, and course 189 on both sides. That's perfect. This is the one thing I forgot because I've been flying Airbus too much, and you don't have to do this. Right, 149 is our approach speed, so we will add 5 to that, and we will do 153. No, 154. Bad maths. Okay, minimums is set 347, and we will apply the flaps on schedule. We are a little bit faster than we should be, so let's give it a bit of speed brake. Okay, so we do need to slow down to 210 at this point, which means we're going to bring in a bit of flaps because our flaps up speed is 212. Right, so let's go flaps 1 so we can bring that speed down. And don't actually want to keep slowing down. Oops, that's not the button we want. That's the one. So we'll go up to 210 and hold it there. Right, so we should now start turning right. There we go. And the airport is actually straight in front of us. over there. Double check that the engines do spool up to maintain that speed, which they are. That's perfect. And now is actually where we kind of start vectoring ourselves. So I'm not going to make it go turn all the way around and get back onto that line. It's a little unnecessary, so we'll put our heading in to go parallel to the runway. And then we'll kind of get to a point where we just pass that waypoint. As long as we are past these hills here, there, we want to kind of turn in that vicinity. Okay, if we look back again at those speeds, I think they're actually on here. Yeah, so 180 until 10 DME, and then 150 until 5.4 DME. Okay, the other thing we can do is arm the speed brakes, because I always forget that. Shouldn't need to use the speed brakes anymore. Right, we've passed those hills, so let's start turning ourselves in. Obviously, in reality, these would all be vectored by air traffic control. We're doing a self-vector. So generally, we want to try and intercept the ILS at less than 30 degrees. Okay, we're currently 13 DME. So remember, we need to be at a maximum of 180 at 10. So we're going to make this turn. And we're going to start slowing down. And that means we'll bring in some more flaps as we go as well. I just noticed, I should have been paying closer attention, that we stopped descending for some reason. Now we are actually quite high. We might just be in for a go around. Right, I said we wouldn't use the speed brakes again, but we're gonna now because of that. We're coming up to 10 DME, we need to slow down. So let's get the gear out, that'll help us with some drag. Okay, we're just about 10 DME, so we're a little faster than we should be. There's 10 DME. Once I get X-Plane 11, I will create my own airline with livery called White Star Airways. Hub is Southampton. Okay, that actually sounds really cool. Right, we are established on the localizer. We've captured the glide slope. So we now need to be max of 150 until 5.4 DME. So we're a little bit behind the curve on managing our speeds. We did get thrown a little bit by having it not follow the correct altitude. I thought it was still descending, but I should have been paying more attention. Right, we'll now go flaps 30. So, landing checklist. Flaps 30 set. Speed brakes, we need to arm because we did use them again. There we go. Auto brake, level 3, landing gear down, 3 green. And the last thing we'll do before we land is just turn on taxi lights, runway turn off lights, and start switches continuous. We can also actually just put on the logo light. White Star Airways, that actually sounds really cool. What aircraft are you going to have flying for your airline? I mean, if you're in X-Plane 11, you got to have the ZIBO, which we're flying now, because it's a fantastic aircraft and it's completely free. So I'm guessing your airline's going to include the 737-800. Right, now we do want to try... Awesome. We do want to try and make sure we touch down right on the touchdown zone. So I've always thought that every time I've flown to Cape Town, they land fairly hard. And I think this might be the reason, because they do ask you to vacate at that Charlie taxiway. Which means you do kind of have to make sure you touch down right on the touchdown zone so we have enough time to brake before taxiway. Short to long haul. Okay, that sounds really cool. Yeah, making custom liveries is one thing I've never gotten into. And considering that I do quite a bit of graphics and photo manipulation and stuff, I should probably be able to do it. But I've just never ever looked into doing that. Right, let's start taking control of the aircraft. So we'll take over the auto throttle. Right, so we now have control of the throttle, and we'll disengage the autopilot.
400.
And we are now flying. Right, so those big, solid rectangles on the runway, that's where we want to make sure we touch down.
Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, so we're a little early. It's better than late. Yes, we'll go reverse thrust. There's 80 knots. So that's taxiway, I can't remember, I think it's Echo. Yeah, is Charlie coming up ahead? So we did actually touch down a little short of touchdown markers. So we could have done better on the landing, but it could have been a lot worse. At least we know that we will definitely make taxiway Charlie here.
16 degrees Celsius. You can now use your mobile devices. Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have shifted during the flight.
Okay, let's turn off the landing lights. We'll get the APU started. That's something I love to forget. Bring the speed brakes down, and flaps can come up. Tomorrow I have a stay-at-home day, so I'll probably do a flight on Watson tomorrow. Face my fears. That's the best way to do it. You gotta just jump in and get it done. So, I wish you all the best. I'm sure it'll go perfectly fine. Right, start switches come back to off. Why did I just go full throttle? Hello? I have no control. I can't stop it. Yep. There we go. Okay. Well, that is definitely not the end of the flight that I was expecting. Nothing's working. Won't see the throttles have come back, but
80 knots.
it's not responding. Parking brake. Okay. So remember when I said X-plane is much better on VATSIM because your aircraft listens? Well, I probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, that's not the ending to the stream that I expected. I have no idea what happened. That is now the third time, though, that something has randomly turned on. So we had the spoilers come up earlier. We also had the flaps start deploying. So I wonder... So I am on the kind of experimental version of the ZIBO. I wonder if that's maybe just a bug, because I've never had that in any other aircraft than X-plane. So, yeah, I mean, we might as well shut down the engines. But I have no idea what happened there. So... that's British Airways freaking out because of that issue that we had. Right, okay, well, I'm gonna have to check that out because that's now the third issue of something random turning on while we were not wanting that to happen. Which is a shame, because otherwise the flight was really cool up until that point, when I just lost control and engines went full throttle. But that brings us to the end of the stream. So this is why we need to practice the ZIBO. I'm going to go test my HOTAS and just see. I have been using it in DCS the whole day, and it never did anything like that. It was just on this flight. So I wonder if it's not the aircraft. That's maybe... because we're on the very recent, more experimental version, that it's got a couple of bugs. But in any case, thank you so much to everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. If you do want to see more content, if you want to get notified when I go live again, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I go live. I don't have a schedule yet. Once my channel grows a bit more, then I can have a set schedule. So the only way to know when I'm going to go live is to hit the notification button so that you will get notified when I do go live. Matt and Captain Maddie, thank you so much for watching and staying right till the end. I'm sorry that I didn't get to finish properly. I don't know what happened there. It does really frustrate me when that kind of thing happens. But hopefully on the next stream, we can actually finish it off properly. Thank you so much for watching again, guys. And before I go, cue up the outro video, because I love to forget that. Right, there we go. I'll try to get my friends to sub too. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. That'll really help me out more than you know. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you again in the next one.